The optimistic, courageous Leo new moon may have you wanting to springboard directly towards your future. But with Mercury retrograde beginning on the same day, there may be a couple of loose ends to tie up from your past before you do. I'm your host, Comet, and welcome to Just Another Magic Monday. This is your weekly horoscope series here in my cosmic corner of the internet with a cosmic beverage in hand, letting you know what you can expect from this week's astrology and every week's astrology. This particular week, we're discussing the cosmic happenings from July 29th to August 4th, 2024, and beyond just letting you know what you can expect within your horoscope, here on Magic Monday, we really strive to take a co-creative approach to the cosmos so that you feel empowered stepping into your week to really align with some of the more advantageous astrology and steer clear of some of the more challenging events within the cosmos. And this week there's a mixture of both, so let's discuss. Firstly, there is an ask this week to really step into your radiance, your confidence, and your authenticity, and allow that to guide you and allow that to anchor you. We have access to some really healing vibrations within the cosmos as midweek, Venus and Leo will trine Chiron in Aries, which is allowing ourselves to pour healing into the places and spaces within your heart that you have any heartache, that you have internalized any feelings of not being worthy enough, beautiful enough, valuable enough. This could be around forgiveness of the times that you've tried to squeeze yourself into molds that you knew did not fit in order to get other people's approval or other people's applause. Truly, there's an ask this week around let your freak flag fly, to thine own self be true, because after that, Venus and Leo will square off with Uranus. So there could be an ask around really wanting to embrace our eccentricity within our love life, within any sort of financial opportunities, breaking out of any mold that feels constricting as it relates to our own life force energy, our own sunshine. It's Leo season after all. But I will say, on another note of that particular aspect, Venus square Uranus, there could be some turbulent events. There can be something unexpected that comes up around your love life, around your bank account, around your own sense of beauty and value that may throw you for a loop. Really, with all this Leo energy, it asks us to just really step into being the leader of our lives, even if there are some detours and pivots, which can be the case with Venus square Uranus this week, and which will certainly be the case as we move into August 2024's astrology, as Mercury retrograde begins this Sunday, which can create miscommunications, mishaps, missed opportunities from the past coming back. And when it comes to these unexpected happenings, when it comes to some of the blasts from the past that may start to make their way into our DMs and trying to worm their ways into our hearts, it's important to stay rooted. It's important to stay anchored. It's important to stay in who it is that you are. It's important to remember that what is truly for you will never pass you, and that anything that asks you to dim your light in order to accommodate it is a clue that that is not for you. And that energy around remembering that, if you are not feeling it right now, you'll be feeling it by the Leo new moon, August 4th. This is a confident, creative, celebratory new moon that, yes, is an invitation to invite in opportunities that are a heartfelt yes for our own journey forward. I would just say to look before you leap, as Mercury retrograde does begin on the same day, but there is this energy around proceeding forward with confidence, with the sextile to Mars, with optimism, with the sextile to Jupiter. And sometimes that means aligning ourselves in the direction of what feels like a heartfelt yes, what makes us feel more like ourselves, what illuminates our glow. And sometimes that means loving ourselves so fiercely that we are willing to say no to things that are not in alignment for who it is that we are now or where it is that we want to go. And Venus entering Virgo on the same day will be helpful in taking a more discerning, detail-oriented eye on that data in order to really gain clarity around what it is that we value. Now, you may know if you study astrology, Venus is not too happy within the mutable earth sign of Virgo. It much prefers being in Pisces, its exaltation, Virgo's opposite sign. But there is an energy with Venus and Virgo where we can be in inspired to start taking better care of our health in all regards, for our financial health, for our physical health, for even our mental health. If you've been dealing with certain draining situations where you're like, this is taking a mental toll on me, I need to look at the data to figure out how it is that I want to proceed. Again, sometimes self-love means putting ourselves out there, being bold, taking risks, moving in the direction of what lights us up. And sometimes self-love means walking away from things that are not in alignment with who it is that we are now and who it is that we are becoming. So we've got a lot to discuss this week, but before we do, take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. My loves, what are you sipping on to start your week? Today in the Cosmic Cafe, I'm serving up my daily shot of Magic Mind. I take this every single morning along with my coffee, but I waited to do it on camera with you all. Just in case you are not familiar with Magic Mind, allow me to inform you. So Magic Mind is a productivity shot. This week we have Mercury transiting Virgo, we have Venus entering Virgo at the end of the week, and Virgo is a very productive energy. It's all around wanting to produce and be efficient and optimize and fine-tune and edit. So if you're feeling that pull with the energy of Virgo, wanting to get your life together, but you struggle with the focus in order to do that, I deeply recommend Magic Mind. And so Magic Mind has matcha in it, which gives you a nice boost of energy without making you jittery and hyper and all over the place, because you and I both know that that makes us not so productive. And the reason why Magic Mind gives you energy without scattering your energy is due to the nootropics within, which work with your brain to help you focus, to help you get into that flow state where you are so absorbed by that fine-tuning project, by that editing project, by that rewriting project that you are taking on, that you are fully immersed in it. You actually unlock more brain power when you are fully consumed by the task at hand, and the nootropics support your brain in getting there. And the reason you're able to do that, get into that flow state, be energized and productive without feeling kind of like stressed or jittery, is also due to the adaptogens that are within that help you relax. I particularly am a fan of the ashwagandha that's within that helps your body deal with stress. I know we've had some wacky astrology as of late that may have a lot of you on edge. I know I most certainly have been, particularly the Uranus aspects, because Uranus is a little bit more of a chaotic, turbulent energy. I always feel a little bit more on edge, but I've found my daily shot of Magic Mind allows me to move into my day just handling one thing at a time, not feeling too anxious or stressed when challenges do emerge, because with Uranus energy and with Mercury retrograde, there might be some things that don't go according to plan, and I find that my daily shot of Magic Mind allows me to tackle the challenges that come up within my daily life with a lot more confidence, groundedness, focus in order to take them on. So if you are wanting to get caught up on past projects, Mercury retrograde is such a great opportunity to do that. And if you're looking for the focus in order to complete the incomplete, cross all your T's, dot all your I's, I deeply recommend checking out Magic Mind, the productivity shot. You can get 20% off when you go to the link that I've dropped within the drop down, as well as within the pinned comment, and use my code Comet. That will get you 20% off. Do know that there is a subscription option that I personally adore. It's just like one less thing to have on my mental to-do list to remember to go order it. So you can also check that out. Thank you so much, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday. I'm going to go ahead and take my shot, and let's get into this week's astrology. Cheers. So if you're new to Magic Monday, we have a segment called Vibe Check of the Week as part of our weekly horoscope, in which we compare all of the collective energetics that we will experience within this week's astrology to a real life scenario. It's not me saying this exact situation will play out, but it's a metaphoric device in order to help you tap into the dominant themes, dynamics, and emotions that may surface as you navigate your universe this week. So this week's astrology feels like the following situation, but feel free to sub in whichever details makes it the most relevant and applicable for your world, or sub in whichever relationship makes it the most relevant and applicable in your world, whether it's a friendship, a family member, a coworker, or in this case, we will say, just to paint a picture together within our vibe check, we will say that there is an ex within your world. Okay, we gotta say it, you know, Mercury stations retrograde this week, and it tends to be a time in which we are more contemplative of the past. We are more reflective. We are more introspective. And of course, we'll talk about it, but with Mercury retrograde, there is a focus around wanting to complete the incomplete, wanting to cross our T's and dot our I's, wanting to tie up loose ends. And of course, most of us are going to utilize this energy around projects and to-dos and things of that nature, but Mercury does align with Venus next week. And so the loose ends that we could be seeking to tie up from the past for many individuals may be love connections, love relationships. And so Mercury will also square Uranus. It also trines Chiron. So there definitely can be some themes coming in with this Mercury retrograde in August 2024 around some of us hearing some unexpected messages from people from our past for the purpose of healing and closure with the trine to Chiron, but unexpected nonetheless. And I just want to highlight here that when it comes to closure, if that is something that you are seeking, if there's burning questions in your answers around why did that person do me like that? Or why did that transpire in the way that it did? Or why didn't it work out? That's not always answers that somebody else can necessarily give you. Sometimes we get stuck in these loops when it relates to people from our past, trying to find answers. And sometimes we just have to find those answers within ourselves. We have to give ourselves peace of mind. Sometimes peace of mind is not something that somebody else can give us. Sometimes there's no reasoning that will make sense with our brain around why they treated us as they did or why things didn't work out. We just need to find that closure within our own hearts, but more importantly with Mercury retrograde, within our own minds, rather than getting stuck in these loops around why did this happen? Why did this happen? Sometimes you just have to find your own answers in order to move on. But with Mercury retrograde, a lot of us are contemplating dynamics from the past. And we will say within this week's vibe check that there is an ex within your world who has reconnected with you. And this person doesn't necessarily have the intention to date you, but they are kind of looking for a safe space as they're moving through something. And you're really striving, because of the care that you have for this person, you're really striving to be a star of hope within their sky, to breathe some sunshine into what is a very dark time, to be a bright spot in this trying situation that they are navigating through. But as the dynamic continues, the more and more you are just starting to feel like a paper towel. And that every time you get around this person, you absorb everything that they are moving through, you take it on, and then you're sopping wet as a result. And then they throw you away within the trash and they disappear. Because they got what they wanted from you. They were able to dump on you. And again, because this is someone that you have history with and you care about them, you love them, you're intending to be that safe space for them. But if you're moving through something, crickets, you don't hear anything from them until they need you again. They need their paper towel. There's a mess. Will you clean it up? And you're trying to be the safe space for this person who is continually hurting you. You can't be a safe space for somebody who is hurting you. It's not a safe space for you. How could you be that for them? And so you're starting to observe this troubling dynamic. And it reminds you of the loops that you were in when you were connected with this person and you want to disrupt this role. And some of us are disrupting a role within our connections this week. We have Venus, which is in a fixed sign. You know, Venus in Leo, it's loyal. It loves because that's who it is. That's what it does. The sun can't help but shine. Leos can't help but love. And it's very fixed. It's consistent in that love. It's consistent in its sunshine. But with the square to Uranus, some of us are really wanting to disrupt a role around, for my own self-love, for myself, I cannot continue being the safe space for you. I know you're used to seeing me within that way. I know it's a fixed groove of behavior that you and I have been in. I know I care about you, but for the sake of my own well-being, I cannot continue. It's time for me to disrupt this dynamic. And of course, this is going to show up for many of us in many different ways, but you can find that there's a certain connection within your world that you are inclined to want to rebel from in terms of the role that you've been playing. And it's uncomfortable to disrupt a fixed groove of relating. It's in your nature to want to love and want to support and hype up and cheer up. And you can't always fight what's in your nature, but you can fight or set limits around who gets access to that level of your love. And with Venus square Uranus, there are some dynamics this week that we could find is a little bit of enough. I love myself too much to allow myself to be a paper towel for you. Because that's what the Leo new moon indicates on Sunday, is this energy around stepping into a new beginning and one that's anchored in self-love, like really loving yourself so much so that you know that you're so much more than a paper towel and that you don't deserve to be sopping wet with what someone else is moving through. and then thrown away in the trash can. Because, you know, sometimes new moons are around calling in what it is that we desire, and certainly that will play out for some. This new moon does sextile Mars and Jupiter. But sometimes new moons are around a fresh start, a blank slate, and a blank slate that is anchored in the love that you have for yourself and the respect that you have for yourself and the respect that you have for your sunshine. So we'll say within the vibe check that you do disrupt the role, and it's hard. It's uncomfortable to change, especially if there's a fixed groove of relating, a fixed groove of loving. But there's an energy with the Leo new moon around my love for myself has to be greater than the love that I have for you, especially if this is what it is that you're doing with it or doing with my care. The love that I have for myself has to be greater than the love that I have for you if this is how you're going to treat me. And we see this playing out within this week's astrology because we have Venus trine Chiron, which is this energy around wanting to heal our own value, our own self-worth, and maybe just having that recognition around, I am too worthy to be somebody's paper towel. Right? For somebody who refuses to even soak up a drop of what it is that I am moving through, right? Like with Venus trine Chiron, it could just be this awareness around loving yourself so much that you're willing to perhaps do the hard thing and disrupt a certain role. With Venus square Uranus, make a certain change within a connection. I'm not saying everybody will necessarily be walking away, but it does feel relevant to mention that for the majority of this week, we are in a waning crescent moon, and this is an energy around release, shed. So some people can find this is not a dynamic that I want to continue, or there needs to be some shift in the dynamic. Maybe the healing dynamic is you standing up for yourself. Maybe there's an opportunity for healing within your connection. But within the vibe check, it was this energy around, I love myself too much to allow this to continue. And that moment when you make that decision around what it is that you are worth and what it is that you value, and sometimes do the hard thing, is when the healing begins. It's when the true healing is able to begin. And it's so hard to make that decision. Like sometimes things have to get a little bit worse before they get better. Like you have to have that painful conversation around, hey, this dynamic is not working for me. I know this is how you're used to relating to me. I mean, you've known me for all of these years, and this is what I've been for you, and we've been in and out of each other's lives, and I've been here for you, and I've been your safe space, but it's no longer safe for me to be your safe space. And it hurts to make that decision. And sometimes things have to get a little bit worse around making that decision and going through the detox of this person and this familiar dynamic. But with every day you have distance from it, you get a little bit more healed and a little bit more healed and a little bit more healed. And the further and further you get from a dynamic like this, the more and more clarity comes in. Because sometimes when you're just wrapped up in it, you don't see it clearly. You don't see it clearly. And the energy on Sunday of Venus entering Virgo is when you start to kind of get the ick. When you start to have the distance and have the clarity, especially with Mercury Retrograde, around looking back at how this person treated you and what this person would say to you, and you start to observe all of this data that you just didn't catch because you were so in the midst of it. You were so in the thick of it, you know, like Venus and Leo, the sun is bright, but it is blinding, right? So your love for this person was so blinding that you weren't paying attention to all of these cues or just little details that you didn't observe. And it's like with more and more distance, you're starting to get the ick with this person around, that is so icky that somebody would walk back into my life purely for the intention around siphoning the healing, the care, and the compassion that I was able to give them, and then being unavailable when they could even match that energy in the slightest way. And you start to get the ick. It starts to be like, ooh, that's kind of gross. Like, that's not really somebody that I want within my world. And when that starts to happen, when you're on a healing journey, you know, I do see with Venus trine Chiron, some people could be going through some heartache or just some healing, certainly. And when you get that slightest little bit of the ick, or just being a little grossed out by someone's behavior, cling to it. That is something helpful. That is going to be so helpful for the healing process. And typically it doesn't come in until you have some distance from it. Like you might have left or disrupted the dynamic because of 3 things that you had observed, but the more distance, that 3 will become 300, which will become 3,000, which will become 300,000. And you will look back on it and be like, what in the heck was I doing with that person? Why did I allow that person to have access to me when they treated me as I did? Like, ick. ick, ew, ew, is the vibe with Venus and Virgo. And even with the energy of Mercury retrograde, it's just kind of like going back into the entire connection, not to return back to the past, but just seeing how this dynamic played out and played out and played out. Because some of us are gaining awareness around the patterns, the loops that we are in, the familiar ways that we relate, whether it's in this particular connection or maybe within other connections. Maybe you're observing that there's a certain dynamic that's coming to the surface within your relationship now that is a pattern, that is energetic or emotional debris left over from past connection. And sometimes when you can recognize that pattern, we have the opportunity to shift it, to behave in a different way. We will say that throughout your guys' on and off connection, like you've never done this. You've never said, hey, this is not okay with me. You've just kind of tolerated it because of your care and compassion for this person. But the moment that you shook up the role here, you have disrupted that pattern. And with the energy of Mercury retrograde, it's seeing how pervasive that pattern has been. Again, whether it's just one relationship or just an overall pattern within your world, some of us are really starting to see patterns and ultimately disrupt patterns with the square to Uranus. Now, we will give so much more texture and detail to this vibe check as we move into our day-by-day analysis, as well as giving other ways that this energy can play out, because Venus square Uranus, some of us are going to feel this financially. The Leo new moon for some is going to be a new creative endeavor. For Mercury retrograde in Virgo, it's simply going to be contemplating your work tasks. So not everybody is dealing with this on and off X situation. At least I pray to God everybody is not dealing with that, but nevertheless, we'll go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. I do want to let you know that I am based in California, so all of the time zones that I utilize are PDT. I also want to let you know there's timestamps available below should you feel called to jump to a particular day or return back to a particular day. I also do have a tendency to talk quite fast, so feel free to hit the gear icon. YouTube has a playback speed option that you can utilize to speed me up, to slow me down. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, July 29th. So happy Monday. Welcome to your horoscope for Monday, July 29th. So your day and your week may get off to an unexpected start. The moon aligns with Uranus at 8:47 a.m. And so this could come through as an unexpected event that happens. You could unexpectedly break something. You could unexpectedly have a technological difficulty. A plan could be changed. Listen, we're in Mercury pre-retrograde shadow and things are getting a little wacky. Okay, things are getting a little wacky, and so your week could be off to a little bit of a wacky start. However, this is a gift of Uranus energy, and I want you to reach for this gift of Uranus energy because we have it this week. We have it as part of Mercury retrograde. And that Uranus energy can be breakthrough energy. It can be aha. It can have a light bulb moment of clarity around, if I keep doing what it is that I've been doing, I'm going to keep getting what it is that I've been getting. And I think that's the benefit of having Uranus in a fixed sign, because fixed is very consistent, it's very dependable. And with the energy of Uranus, it's like questioning these fixed grooves of behavior and if it's really serving us. And again, not all of us are having this dynamic that I described within Vibe Check, but it just could be this energy with Moon Uranus around, wow, I really run late to work every single Monday. Like, this is a behavior. Like, it cannot always just be external factors. Like, there has to be something different that I could be doing so that I'm not running late every single Monday. And sometimes even just that light bulb moment of clarity around, oh, this is a pattern. This is something that I'm doing, and thus, in some ways, it's something that I'm choosing. And when we can identify that there's a pattern, we can disrupt the pattern. And that's the gift of Uranus. So some of us could just have like a random Monday morning epiphany around something small, around something big, around an emotional pattern, perhaps with the alignment to the moon. But for others of us, there could be technological difficulties, canceled plans, plans change, things of that nature. And the energy of the Taurus moon aligning with Uranus in the morning time and then going on to sextile Neptune and Pisces around 1:59 p.m. PDT gives this energy around being able to reach for a silver lining when it comes to something that could have been a mishap, a miscommunication, a missed plan, a missed opportunity, or just an overall general inconvenience. Because Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow, which indicates technological difficulties and disruptions to our day-to-day and delays and miscommunications and things of that nature. And those things are frustrating, right? But with the sextile to Neptune, it's either reaching for the humor in it, being able to reach for, oh, this is going to be a great story one day, or the silver lining around, hey, my plan got canceled, but that's okay because I don't really like my outfit anyway, right? Or I am meant to be leaving this was meeting, but I can't figure out the new Zoom update, so we had to reschedule, but that's all good because now I have longer to work on the presentation. There is an ask to see what if this is the universe working with me, but with the energy of Taurus, it's steady, it's consistent, so we could be feeling a little frustrated by this redirection, but the more that you can reach for, what if this is all working for me, or at the very least, being able to find the humor in it, or be like, oh, this is gonna be a funny story to tell to my partner tonight about this snafu. Like, Mercury is the trickster, so sometimes you gotta laugh at the Mercury pre-retrograde shenanigans. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. And that's particularly dominant when it comes to Monday, because after the Taurus moon sextiles Neptune at 1:59 p.m., it's void, just for like about a half hour, until it enters Gemini at 2:28 p.m. And Gemini answers to Mercury, so it's really emphasizing this energy of Mercury slowing down and slowing down and slowing down to station retrograde this Sunday. So we're definitely in the space. There could be more Mercury retrograde-itis in the air, okay? And the energy of Gemini moon is the energy around not taking it so seriously or being able to laugh about it or see what it is that you're learning from it. The Gemini moon goes on to trine Pluto in Aquarius, so it's remembering your power and dealing with it around, hey, a Zoom update is not gonna hold me back. A canceled plan, and is it gonna make me crumble, right? It's remembering your power and being able to giggle and persevere ultimately. And then that evening around 7 p.m., the Gemini moon will square off with Mercury in Virgo, and we could just be feeling very scattered, okay? We could be feeling incredibly scattered. You could be having a really hard time with staying focused. You could be feeling a legitimate battle between the head and the heart. Your intuition telling you one thing, your mind telling you another, your feelings telling you one thing, somebody else telling you another. You could just feel this push-pull and just feel conflicted, potentially. And this would be the energy within the vibe check around, should I stay, should I go? I mean, they need me, they need this safe space, but on the other hand, I'm miserable. Like, this dynamic is taking so much out of me, and just feeling torn. And again, when it's time for you to change something, you will know. And there is an energy on Monday, it feels anxious, and I don't want you to feel like on Monday night you have to have all the answers right now. Whatever you're trying to figure out, whatever it is that you're trying to solve, don't feel like you have to get to the bottom of the answers right now or get the clarity that you're seeking right now. This would not be an optimal time for a conversation, right? Because with Moon, Mercury, we're either taking things too personally, or we could just feel torn in different directions or confused. It could feel rife with misunderstandings, miscommunications. And so there is an ask, if possible, when it comes to Monday evening, get out of your mind. Okay, this is giving very overthinking station. Get out of your mind, do something loving for yourself. Okay, Venus and Leo is building to trine Chiron and Aries. And know that sometimes our mind doesn't necessarily have a role in solving the problem. Okay, your mind could be taking down all these avenues, thinking that you're going to find some new data that's going to help you make a decision, or think you're going to find a new perspective that's going to help you solve it. Like, sometimes you just got to get out of your mind. Like, the answers that you're seeking are not in you overthinking, okay? And so I just feel like on Monday, it would be helpful to do something that either gets you into your body, or even having a vent sesh with somebody else, maybe talking on the phone, maybe journaling. Sometimes I'll just open photo booth and just have my own little private YouTube video. I'm telling you, doing this is like therapy. Low-key, sometimes when you're talking something out, you do find a little bit more clarity rather than all of the thoughts just rushing around within your head. So potentially that's something that you are doing on Monday night. And the moon aligns with Mars very early on Tuesday, and this could be our mind hurting our feelings, okay? Like thinking of, well, this is why they're doing this, or, oh, this is why my friends left me out of this. Like, arriving to these answers that are hurting your own feelings as a result of your own overthinking. So the best that you can do on Monday to avoid overthinking, as well as my overall advice when it comes to Monday, is there's going to be deviations within the plan. Laugh about it if possible. Give yourself a nice buffer to do whatever it is that you need to do. If something is not working, shift gears. Again, in the first portion of the day, the moon's in Taurus, which is a more steady, slow, consistent energy. And sometimes we can get really stubborn around, well, I was meant to do this Zoom presentation, or I was meant to do this plan. But the sooner that you can just be like, well, it wasn't meant to be, and shift direction and then consistently move in this direction, the better. And again, if possible, laugh about it. Laugh about it. And if possible, if it's accessible, laugh about it, right? Like Mercury's the trickster. So sometimes we gotta giggle. We gotta giggle at the inconveniences. We gotta giggle at the switch ups. We gotta giggle at the technical difficulties. Sometimes we can reach for, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be, or at least we can reach for, well, that makes a great bit. That makes a great story. That makes a great bit. Makes a great story for the group chat. That makes a great piece of lore that I can talk to with my therapist, right? Like sometimes we have to reach for that if it's accessible. I just need to share this. This Mercury retrograde has been a doozy. Let me know if you guys have been feeling the same. Oh my goodness, there have been so many things that have just gone wrong. You gotta giggle. You gotta giggle sometimes. Just to share one of them, I booked one of the biggest events that I've ever worked at as an astrologer. It was for this really big company at this beautiful resort. I was so incredibly excited about this opportunity, and I felt so blessed that I got to be a part of it. Because it's such a big company, the threshold of what they expect from the service providers there was, to be quite frank, like higher than most other events that I've done. Like I had to get my wardrobe approved ahead of time to ensure that it was cohesive with the flow of the event. But all good, got my outfit approved. I was wearing this beautiful astrology dress. It's like this blue silk with these gold glyphs that are like sewn in. It's a beautiful dress. I love that dress so much. And so I'm in my pretty dress and I have allotted a ridiculous amount of time to get to this event. Ridiculous. Like, this was me being so incredibly generous with traffic and with parking and with anything that could potentially come up, because I knew Mercury's in its pre-retrograde shadow, snafus occur, okay? And I need to be a professional. I need to be there right at call time. Like I am going to overcome these snafus. So I gave myself an obscene amount of time. So much so that even with traffic, parking, anything that could potentially come up, I should have been there an hour early. An hour early. I allotted myself 2.5 hours to go to FedEx. I had to pick up flyers for the event and then go to this event. So here I go. I go to FedEx. And it is in this downtown building where the only place to park is this parking garage. Very intimidating parking garage, many levels. Apparently this FedEx is in a building with all of these legal offices. So there's like lawyers all over. I don't even know. And so I park in the parking garage and it says your parking is free under 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, great. FedEx will take like 10 minutes. I just have to pick up these flyers. Amazing. So I go in the elevator. It's a big production, finding the FedEx. I find the FedEx. Of course, they can't find my order. It's not under the right name. We're looking and looking and looking, and I'm not sweating. I'm fine. I've given myself so much time. I'm like, this is totally fine. They finally figure it out. They find it. It was miscategorized with somebody else's order. Thank goodness they found it for me. So I've got the flyers. Amazing. And so I go to leave the parking garage. I put in my ticket. And why is this meter telling me that I owe $50? $50 for being at a FedEx for 25 minutes. And one thing about me and my Virgo placements is that I am incredibly frugal. I dislike spending even $1 extra than I absolutely have to. So I simply was not gonna eat that, okay? You can call me cheap. I was not gonna eat that. I'm not paying $50 to park my car for 25 minutes and pick up some flyers. I'm just not. Sorry. So I called the parking attendant and I was like, what's the deal? I've been here for less than 30 minutes. The sign there says it's free under 30 minutes. And they're like, oh, that only counts if you get it validated by the business that you're at. And I'm like, why doesn't the sign say that? Why didn't FedEx tell me that? I had my ticket in my hand, but we're all having our Mercury pre-retrograde stories, so I'm not gonna hold it against them, but I'm like, okay. And so it's a whole production because now there's people behind me and I can't go forward. They're not letting me out without paying $50. I'm not doing that. The thing is that because I can't go forward, there's been all these cars that are trying to get out of the garage themselves, probably the lawyers. They're probably like, what is this girl doing? Like, get out of my way. And I felt so bad, but I had to make them back up so I could repark to go back down to FedEx to get it validated because I simply was not going to eat the $50. So that was even a whole production. So I go down to FedEx, I get my parking validated, and they're like, just so you know, it only counts under 30 minutes, and I don't know if it's been 30 minutes now. And I'm like, okay, great. Hopefully the parking attendant will remember me from before and let me out. And so I go to put my ticket into the machine once more and snap. The dress strap on my pretty astrology dress just snaps. Boop. Broken. And now the whole thing is falling off and I'm in line, there's people behind me. And even worse still, it's still telling me that I owe $50, which again, I've highlighted, simply won't do, okay? Simply won't do. So I hit the parking attendant button again, holding up my dress for dear life. And I'm like, I just can't think about the dress right now. Right now, we just need to get out of the garage and we'll think about the dress in a moment. And I plead with this parking attendant. I was like, you need to let me out. I'm late to this event. My dress just broke. There's lawyers behind me. Like, I need to get out of this garage. I'm so sorry. I'm not paying $50. At this point, I probably should have paid the $50, but thank goodness, bless that man. He let me out. Thank goodness. And so finally I'm on the road. So we've solved that issue at least, but now we have a broken dress. Okay. We have a broken dress and they were very particular about the apparel for this event. And this was the only dress that I got approved. And at this point, because of that whole thing, we're starting to cut it a little close. We should be fine, but suddenly the obscene amount of time that I've allotted, it's looking less and less obscene. It's looking more reasonable, and I don't like that. Okay, I don't like that when Mercury's in its pre-retrograde shadow. I'm like, no, it's rush hour. Listen, I gotta hit the road. So I don't have time to stop and get another outfit. I don't have time to head back home and get a different outfit. Plus, it's not approved by creative. So I had to just turn it into an asymmetrical one shoulder thing. I think I made it work. I just kind of like twisted it and tucked it and made it one shouldered. If anybody noticed, nobody said anything to me, but it was so funny because when I got there, another individual who was there, he was an astronomer showing people stars in the sky. It was such a cool event, by the way. And this guy, I was talking to him, he discovered these black holes. He has a star named after him. He was so cool. But anyways, on his way to the event, he got a flat tire. So I was telling him about Mercury retrograde and just all the snafus. But the event went great. I ended up getting there exactly on time. Like I got to the valet, I think at 6:20. My call time was at 6:30. And so literally I was walking to the space to start setup at 6:30, which is exactly the time that they called for. Again, I don't like how close of a call that was. That was not cool with me, especially when I allotted so much time to get there. But nevertheless, I was on time. The event went amazingly. I ended up getting to not only meet, but give an astrology reading to one of my favorite content creators. One of my favorite people online was at this event, and I got to give this person a reading. Like, it was a pinch me, am I dreaming type moment. Like, it was one of the coolest opportunities that I've ever had in my life, even though I only had one strap to experience it. So nevertheless, I had to laugh. Like, even when I was just like holding my dress up, driving to this event, having had all of this parking garage drama, I had to laugh. I was like, this will make a good story one day. This will make a good story. So sometimes you gotta reach for that. There's gonna be inconveniences. There's going to be snafus, but maybe it'll be a bit. Maybe it'll be something that you'll share in therapy. Maybe it'll be something that you will share within the group chat. Sometimes you gotta reach for humor. We laugh so we don't cry. On Tuesday, July 30th, the biggest event of the day is that at 12:54 p.m. PDT, Venus in Leo will trine Chiron in Aries, giving us a fiery, purifying alignment that can help ignite your spark or help you remember what you are worth, what you deserve, and what you should no longer withstand. Is what the energy is giving, particularly with Chiron retrograde. It just feels like this fiery burst of alignment around, why am I putting up with this? I don't have to put up with this. And just remembering, I am a worthy, valuable person. Why am I allowing this person in and out of my life whenever they need my care, my comfort, and it creates all this mental disarray? I'm worthy of more. It just feels like this spark around, I'm worthy of more. And like I was sharing earlier, sometimes things have to get a little bit more painful before you are on the pathway to healing. Because sometimes having that awareness around, I am not respecting my own value, sometimes that's painful. When you look back at what you've been putting up with in relation to this ex within the vibe check and realizing how little you've been valuing yourself, being like, girl, stand up. Like, you've been pouring all of this care and compassion into somebody who literally went crickets when you needed the same within return. And sometimes it can make you feel ashamed that you put up with it for so long, ashamed that you valued yourself so little. And sometimes that shame can keep us in that pattern. Because again, the more and more distance that we get from it, the more clear it gets. And sometimes we just feel kind of disgusted with ourselves, which in weird ways sucks us back in, because we could just feel that wounding around, I can't believe you treated like this, I can't believe I was in this pattern, and we could want to heal the wound where it was inflicted. But like I always say with Chiron energy, you cannot heal where it is that you got sick. You cannot be the safe space where you are continually getting hurt. There is an ask with Venus trine Chiron around loving yourself so much that you're willing to do the hard thing, that you're willing to put your own healing first, that you're willing to put your own well-being first. And sometimes it's hard, because with Venus and Leo, like I shared, it's a very loving energy. If this is coming to the surface within a connection, it could be this energy around, I love you so much that I want to be the safe space for you. I want to heal for you, but not at the expense of me, not at the expense of being your freaking paper towel that you throw away in the garbage can. Like, I have to have a level of respect for myself. I have to stand up. I have to stand up. This energy is giving stand up, right? And again, it's not having shame for getting sucked back into patterns. It's not having shame for the healing light force that you were, for the sunshine that you radiated. But it's just this energy around, I love myself too much to stay fixed in this pattern. And that's what the Venus story is giving this week, around Venus trine Chiron today, and then Venus square Uranus, around a disruption in the role is necessary because I love myself too much. And with the energy of Venus trine Chiron, if you're in a committed relationship, this disruption of the pattern might not be creating distance from this person. Maybe it's just around, hey, this hurts me. Like, can we do this in a different way? Can we change how it is that we relate to each other within this particular way? Can we use this as an opportunity to heal together and grow together? That can also be an ask with the Venus trine Chiron. And there's something coming in around the healing power of connection, right? The people who help mend our hearts even if they didn't break it. And so if you're moving through heartache, this can be a really lovely time to really invest within your friendships, invest within the connections that are around you, your support team that is around you, or just even being able to connect with other humans, right? Being able to relate with other humans and allowing yourself to be vulnerable within these connections is also an ask with Venus trine Chiron. I also feel this speaks to the healing power of creativity, right? And maybe this could show up around having a certain album or a song that just hits you deep. You're like, did I write this? Did we date the same person? Like, this is exactly what it is that I'm going through. Or maybe you're creating something out of the pain. Because fundamentally, if we can write a poem, if we can paint a picture, if we can write a song about a situation, we have changed our relationship to it. It doesn't automatically absolve the hurt, but we've turned it into something beautiful. So that can also be something that is coming to the surface. And just with the energy of Venus trine Chiron and Venus square Uranus, it's allowing yourself to be fully and authentically yourself, and to feel how healing it is to be fully and authentically yourself, to be fully embodied within your own magic, within your own authenticity, within your own life force energy. And allowing yourself to chip away any part of you that felt like you had to be in a certain role for other people's approval, or even to play this role within the vibe check, to play this role around, I'm always happy and I'm your cheerleader and I'm hyping you up and I'm making you feel better. When that's not the truth, right? You're going through your own thing, but you feel like that's what you need to be for this particular person. And with Venus trine Chiron, it's this appreciation around the connections where you feel like you could be vulnerable and authentically yourself, and you don't feel like you have to play a role or be something that you're not. These healing waves of energy can also come through as it relates to your beauty, to your aesthetic. It could come through as it relates to your bank account and ultimately your value. It's just forgiving yourself for any time that you undervalued yourself. And for some, there could be this energy with Venus trine Chiron around recognizing, hey, the price of admission to my love, care, compassion, just even having access to me is too low. Okay, it's too low, and it's time to raise what it takes to be the safe space for you. You're not pouring anything into me. I'm feeling undervalued. I'm feeling taken advantage of, which is not conducive for self-love. It all comes back to self-love. It all comes back to self-love. Because if you've been in a situation where somebody is taking advantage of you in some regard, they are using you for your care, for your compassion, they're using you for your body, they're using you for your time, they're using you for your money, what have you. In their minds, when people know that they can treat you in a certain way, they're like, oh great, I just have to talk to this person every 2 weeks and they'll let me come over and vent and be like my free therapist. Oh great, well then I'm only gonna talk to them every 2 weeks because that is the price of admission to their care, to their love, to their compassion. And it's just an energy around, this is too low. There's an energy with Venus trine Chiron around, I love you, but I love me. And there needs to be more investment back in me for me to be able to give you what it is that you want. Whatever that might be, energy, money, time, attention, affection, whatever it is. And with Venus trine Chiron, sometimes it hurts. It can hurt when you realize that not everybody has a heart like yours with Venus and Leo around, dang, I would never treat somebody else like that, right? And where you need to be conscious of that is with Venus trine Chiron thinking, well, if only I just pour in enough love, if I give them more healing, if I give them more access to me, then they'll love and value and appreciate me. Then I'll be able to fix them or help them heal. But what it's going to relate is just more of the same around you feeling undervalued and underappreciated. And it starts with valuing and appreciating yourself. And so if you've been in this loop, this week's astrology is asking you to really just know your worth. Like Leo is regality archetype. It's king and queen archetype. And it's honoring that you are royalty of your own life and that you have something that is very valuable to give this world. Do not let other people's failure to appreciate what it is that you have to give be a representation of the value that it has. And it just feels like with Venus trine Chiron, some of us are just having an awareness around, it's time for me to genuinely start loving myself. It's time for me to forgive myself for the times that I've let this situation undervalue me. But the raising price of admission to my energy, it starts now. And I need to kind of create this fortress around my heart in order to protect myself from getting hurt or feeling depleted or feeling like a paper towel. And not everybody has a heart like yours, and you don't need to understand why this person would treat you the way that they would. You don't need to justify, well, they're just doing it because they're going through this hard time and da-da-da-da. Those are the sort of thinkings that keep us stuck in these painful loops. And with Venus trine Chiron, it's just this energy around loving yourself so much that you're willing to do the hard thing sometimes. That you're willing to value yourself so much that it could disrupt a dynamic, right? Because if you ever do disrupt a dynamic because of something that you need, a boundary that you state, or a way that you are feeling, that is not a dynamic that you need to be in. If a dynamic is founded upon you fundamentally having to overextend yourself and over-accommodate and feeling used as a result of that, that is not a connection that you need to be in. You will never disrupt the right connection for you by stating what it is that you need or how it is that you feel. And so with Venus trine Chiron, there just could be this awareness around, this is not good for my heart. And clearly all the love and compassion that I'm pouring into you is not doing you any good if this is how you're treating people. So maybe by me breaking the cycle, maybe I'm giving us both permission to heal on our own journeys, right? That's the energy of Venus trine Chiron. And just being mindful. For my fellow Chironians, okay, listen, if you've got strong Chiron in your chart like I do, listen, it is not your job to heal people. And sometimes when we feel like it is, we get ourselves stuck in these loops of feeling like a martyr or feeling underappreciated. And sometimes the best thing that you can do is allow people to do their healing on their own. Because sometimes, let's say this ex, knows that you are a safe space for them. They will use that to self-soothe or distract themselves from the pain that they're going through. And sometimes the only way that we can heal is really being in those uncomfortable emotions and having to develop those tools around how it is that we self-soothe ourselves, right? And not just reaching for who's gonna babysit me or who's gonna take this pain away or who's gonna distract from it. And sometimes when we do break that loop around this like kind of codependent dynamic around trying to heal somebody or fix someone, that actually can be what they truly need in order to heal or to fix themselves or to move forward. And for you to be able to move forward within your own journey. Again, Chiron energy, it's a little bit of a scalpel. Sometimes it like digs a little bit, it cuts a little bit. It's hard to recognize, wow, you've been treating me like crap. Or wow, I've been in this dynamic throughout the entire time that I've known you. Or wow, it hurts to say goodbye to somebody that I love and care for so much. It hurts. That scalpel energy kind of digs into these pain points that might be in relation to the connection that you're dealing with this week, or even a broader story underneath around your inherent sense of worthiness and potentially finding your worthiness in what you do for other people. Like, it goes deep with Chiron energy. But with that scalpel digging into us, into those pain points, it allows us to remove the abscess or the wounded parts or the pain points to genuinely allow ourselves to heal moving forward. So it gets a little bit worse before it gets better. And so with Venus trine Chiron, there's just this healing wave of energy, and it could come into your heart, it could come into your creativity, it could come into your friendships, it could come into your bank account. But it's allowing yourself to heal and to proceed forward with vulnerability, with authenticity, with forgiveness, and most importantly, with genuine self-love. And so from a lunar perspective on Tuesday at 2:01 a.m. PDT, the Gemini moon aligns with Mars in Gemini. And this could have had you overthinking the night before. You could have had a hard time sleeping, whether you were lost in thought. Some of you could have been lost in an internet rabbit hole. You could have been lost in a good book. You know, Gemini energy, it's very much of the mind. You could have been lost in the group chat. You could have been lost in conversation. There feels to be kind of like a hyper flow of energy in the evening time, which could have affected your sleep cycle potentially. If you happen to be awake at this time, great time for a workout in order to move some energy from your mind. Like I said, your mind can only solve so many problems. Sometimes you have to get out of it. And with Moon Mars, take some of that mental energy, put it into a workout, put it into a walk, put it into a project. Keep your mind busy. That's huge with healing. Keep your mind busy. Keep your mind busy. And it's not even through this lens around distracting ourselves rather than feeling it. It's just this energy around maintaining forward. Maintaining forward. Sometimes when we're moving through something that's very painful, it's like we want to ruminate and obsess and figure out all these different things, but you got to move forward. The quicker that you could just keep your eyes on the future and just know it won't always feel like it does now, just take one step in front of the other, the sooner that you will get through this. And that is a message for those who are going through something painful, because I just feel like with Venus trine Chiron, some of us are healing our hearts this week. And as you're doing that work, it helps to keep yourself distracted and busy with having friends to hang out with, books to read, podcasts to listen to, go for a walk. Like, keep yourself occupied. It's not saying not to feel your feelings, but it's just this energy around continually moving forward. I heard this in a podcast I was listening to this morning, where the host, Madeline Argy, had shared that her mom would always tell her, you know, when you're moving through something painful, take a breath in, take a breath out, and now you are 2 breaths closer to healing. Because truly, every moment, every breath, you are closer to healing. It's true. Time does heal all. And it's so painful being in the thick of it. But if you could just focus on this breath, this step, this activity, this walk, this podcast, you will get through it. It's one foot in front of the other, one breath in front of the other. And sometimes when we're moving through something painful, it's like hard to see to the other side around, will I get through this? Will I be okay? Right now, just focus on one step in front of the other, this breath, this activity, this day, and looking for the joy in it if possible, because the Gemini moon does sextile the Leo sun at 4:15 a.m. and then it will align with Jupiter at 3:45 p.m. So this is some nice energy. Like with the energy of Gemini, we're wanting to learn new things. You could feel surprisingly optimistic. That's what's always shocking about the healing journey, is that there's like moments where you're anxious and you're freaking out and you're like, am I gonna be okay? Am I gonna be okay? And then there's moments that you feel hopeful and excited, and you're looking out the world through the lens of possibility, and you're excited to learn new things, and you're excited to meet new people, and you're excited about what comes in. And sometimes things do exist in those ebb and flows, and it's having patience with those ebb and flows. But if you have those moments around feeling good or feeling optimistic, grab hold to it. Say yes to some plans. You know, I've been moving through something that's cyclical like this, and there's like some really low lows. And sometimes there's some moments where I'm like, I might be okay. I might be able to get through this. I'm gonna get to the other side. And when I have those moments, I have to grab hold of them. I have to grab hold of them. I use those moments when I'm feeling hopeful or optimistic to text everybody back. I use those moments to film. I use those moments to get ahead on things, because I just recognize that the healing journey is not linear. And when you have those moments, you have to seize them. You have to bask into them. You have to use those moments to intentionally schedule in social time. You have to use those moments to do the things that you know you should do that you've been putting off, right? Use that energy to learn something new. I would say that's the energy of Tuesday, learning something new. And yes, Gemini moon typically is more social, and with Venus trine Chiron, it could feel very healing to be around connections. But I do want to share, we are in the waning crescent moon phase, which sometimes we can feel like we're craving a little bit more solitude. We're coming inward. We're looking inward for answers. We're looking to books or podcasts or videos for answers with the energy of the Gemini moon aligning with Jupiter. But there is an energy around seeing where it is that you could be curious around the possibilities. That can be helpful. If you're moving through something where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, where can you look out at the world through the lens of possibility around what could be and being curious around it, right? There's moments when we look out at the future with doom and no fear mongering, but I do want to let you know tonight we have the Gemini moon squaring off with Saturn in Pisces around 11:42 p.m. So it might be a moment of like having some doom or overthinking or fearing the worst around the future. But with the energy of the Gemini moon aligning with Jupiter, really grab hold to what am I excited by, or what within my life is going well, or what do I have gratitude about? You know, because that's also a message with Tuesday, really working that muscle of gratitude, remembering that there are things in your life that you have, that you used to want, you used to pray for something that is existent within your life right now. And it's important to appreciate that, to expand that within your world. And with Tuesday evening, you know, things could feel hard. Your work schedule could feel hard. Life could feel hard. Your mind could be being hard on you. Okay, with the Gemini moon squaring off with Saturn. But don't let the hard times of life keep you from all of the beauty and joy that does exist. And if you've been moving through something, sometimes it's hard to remind yourself that this world has love that exists out there. It has sunsets that exist out there. It has trees that exist out there. It has ice cream that exists out there. It has, when you're laughing so hard with your friends that your stomach hurts, that exists out there. Like, there's lots of beauty in life. And it's important to work that muscle around remembering that, as well as we talked about last week. I'll link last week's Magic Monday above, as well as below, as well as putting yourself in alignment with the things that will be conducive for joy. Even if you're not feeling it, saying yes to the plans because you know you'll feel better when you're around people, or choosing to work out after work because you know future you will thank you. So welcome to your horoscope for Wednesday, July 31st. The Gemini moon will activate that now separating Venus trine Chiron alignment in the skies. So do know we have access to those healing vibrations of energy, to that self-love, to that healing that comes from creativity or that comes from connection that can absolutely be alive Wednesday morning. Again, it's a soft flow of energy. Sextile is an opportunity aspect, but take that opportunity, right? And, you know, sometimes Gemini moon energy can have us overthinking. We had Gemini moon square Saturn the night before, so maybe you were up late the night before, stressing about your future or feeling like you're behind or something of that nature. But there's just an ask to reclaim your power by drawing awareness back to the present moment, making the decisions now that are in the most alignment with self-love and with empowerment. And trust the next day you will make decisions that are in alignment with empowerment and self-love. Sometimes we can stress around these really big decisions within our life, but it also boils down to the small decisions that you make every single day. And knowing that every single day is an opportunity to begin again, okay? Even if you folded and you texted an ex, okay? Even if you folded and you went back to a bad habit, again, it doesn't help you to stay in that loop of beating yourself up or even having guilt or shame around the pattern. It's just an opportunity to begin again, to make the most empowered decision here, to make the decision that is the most in alignment with self-love here and now, and trust that that step, that breath, that moment will lead you to the next and the next. And just striving today to show yourself love, both in how it is that you take action, as well as Gemini moon, how you talk to yourself, the stories that you create, right? And knowing that you have the potential to rewrite a story. Let's say the story with the ex, it's like that particular dynamic around, well, they need me, I'm the safe space. Even just with the energy of Gemini moon around, yeah, that person took advantage of my compassionate nature, and I am choosing to invest in connections where it's reciprocal. That could be so powerful rather than the story assigning around, well, they need me and they're healing because of it. It's important how we frame things, and even the verbiage we give to situations. Like, you might be like, well, it's okay because they're my soulmate, or it's okay because I'm a healer and that's what I'm here to do. But sometimes you just need to shift the story around, I may be a healer within my own world, but I cannot heal if I am drained and depleted from this person siphoning all this healing energy. In fact, I see a lot of times the path of the healer, it shows up when you stop trying to heal people within your personal life. The path of the healer, typically when you do have a healing vibration, you have strong Chiron energy within your chart, oftentimes you will attract people who are in need of healing. But oftentimes you don't step into doing it in a more collective way, which ultimately can feel more fulfilling until you decide to cut off that dynamic of people who are taking advantage of it or even siphoning from it, right? And that's part of the path of the healer, around needing to have boundaries around who has access to that healing energy or vibration, as well as ensuring that you're doing the things, even if it's the hard things, that allow you to be in alignment with where it is that you are healing and where it is that you are taking care of yourself, all that you are. And just taking opportunities for connection, for conversation with the Gemini moon sextiling Venus and Leo, taking time to have fun, to be playful if that's accessible. You definitely can feel more distracted. The Gemini moon squares off with Neptune. It exacts at 7:46 p.m., but you're gonna feel it build all day. Wednesday might not be the most focused. There could be to-dos that are being brushed under the rug. You could be procrastinating, escaping. You could also just be feeling more emotional. You know, Neptune energy tends to make me quite weepy. And like I said, sometimes this journey is ups and downs, right? Those dualities, right? The moon's in Gemini around at some moments you're like, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, where my life is going. And then the next moment feeling anxious and scared and lost without this dynamic within your world. And allowing the duality, allowing things to continually be shifting. And again, it's all around the decisions that you make within this moment and just choosing to get through this moment, this breath, this decision, this meal, right? Remember to take care of yourself. Sometimes Neptune energy can make us a little spacey, right? And doing something that puts you in alignment with peace, right? Maybe looking for spiritual wisdom with the Gemini moon squaring Neptune, maybe praying, maybe meditating, knowing that things are unclear at the moment and they don't need to be clear right now. And that is going to be something that's part of the upcoming Mercury Retrograde story, which of course we'll talk about every single Sunday here on the channel. But just as a little preview, sometimes we can drive ourselves crazy looking for answers, right? Maybe we let this person in the vibe check back into our life because we had questions, right? Around why did you do me like that? Or why did this happen? Or why didn't it work out? And sometimes those questions just can't be answered and we'll drive ourselves crazy looking for the answers to our questions, whether within our own mind or to this other person. And sometimes with Mercury retrograde, we feel like we have to reach out to somebody from our past in order to get the answers that we seek. And certainly, maybe in some situations, they can give us clarity, but ultimately, closure is something you find within yourself. And being able to tie up those loose ends and even just make peace with the confusion that I felt within that dynamic, that's the clarity I was looking for. Because things that are truly meant to be will be. They will flow, there will be alignment, and I don't need to overthink and think, oh, what if I would have done this? Or maybe it would have been different if I did this, or should I say this? Sometimes going down those rabbit holes just puts us in the state of feeling stuck, right? And maybe even going back to where we got hurt, looking for answers of why they hurt us. And sometimes you just need to find that clarity within yourself. I'm hearing the song, it's called B-O-A-T by Camila Cabello of Pisces. I really love her new album. I've never been into her music, but I really love this album. But this song, she says, you never gave me peace of mind, so I had to give it to myself. And that is the situation when it comes to confusing dynamics within our world. Sometimes it's like when we're in these weird push-pull dynamics and there's so much confusion around it, sometimes we drive ourselves crazy or even stay stuck just looking for answers and hoping that it'll make sense one day. And sometimes that clarity you're looking for won't come in until there's some distance from it. Like I said, every breath, every step, every day, every moment, you get a little bit more healed, you get a little bit more clear and a little bit more clear. And so resist feeling like you have to go back into the past to get the clarity that you seek. And if you are craving that clarity, find it within your own journals. You know, Mercury retrograde tends to make us more nostalgic. We could be looking at old photos, looking at old journals, looking at old letters. Sometimes clarity is something that we find when we contemplate the past. It's not necessarily something that we need to find by reconnecting with someone from our past. But ultimately, in terms of our practical reality, on Wednesday, you could feel a little bit more dreamy, a little bit more sleepy, a little bit more weepy. Okay. The moon's void for about a half hour until it enters Cancer. So now we've got the sun in rulership and the moon in rulership. And so we're feeling things intensely. We're feeling big emotions. And like I say, with every single waning crescent moon, every single month, if a lot comes to the surface before a new moon, that is your sign and that is your signal that the upcoming new moon is going to be more pivotal for you. If a lot comes up, it's coming up to be cleansed away. It's coming up for a reason. And knowing that you don't need to judge yourself for being too dramatic or being emotional. So on Thursday, August 1st, Yes, we enter a new month. Happy August, my loves. And I do want to just give you a heads up that I do have a membership option here on the channel called Magic Monthly. And I create you a cute little calendar that helps you tune into the big picture dynamics of what is playing out within the month's astrology, so I can plan ahead further than just my weekly snapshots. I also write you a little horoscope. I make a little mood board. Every single month, I put too much energy into making a mood board. I literally make a color-coded mood board of the vibe that the astrology gives me every single month. I don't even know if people like my mood boards, but I make them every single month just because I think it's fun. So anyways, if you want to see August's mood board, what astrology is coming up with in August, as well as get this printable and digital calendar, make sure to check it out. It's called Magic Monthly. It's just a membership option here on YouTube, and that's under the planets tier. But nevertheless, August is a funky month. Okay, it's a funky month. It's definitely interesting. There's some dynamics that we will be chatting more about when it comes to the astrology. But what you need to know about the first day of the month is that the moon will be in Cancer all day long, and it does sextile Mercury in Virgo. And when we look at the astrology, there's a lot of comfy, cozy planets right now. We've got the sun in rulership, we've got the moon in rulership, we've got Mercury in rulership and in its exaltation. And we got Venus and Mars peregrine, which means that they're neutral. Now, Venus enters its fall this Sunday, so Venus is gonna get a little bit more unhappy, but at the moment, you know, we're either neutral or we're sitting pretty, okay, astrologically speaking. That's not to say that our lives are going easy, but at least these planets have access to the full expanse of their resources. And with Cancer moon, we have our intuition working for us. We have our self-care working for us, our emotional landscape working for us. And with the sextile to Mercury in Virgo, we can find that we're having more nurturing conversations, more loving conversations, whether that's with others or with ourselves. We could find that our journaling is on point. We're able to really create clarity around the confusing swirls of emotions that we are feeling. We're really logically processing our emotions, or what emotions are coming from where, because sometimes when it comes to Cancer moon, the vibe shifts or an emotion takes over and we don't always know why. You know, Cancer energy, it's very responsive. And with the Cancer moon sextile Mercury in Virgo is there to be like, okay, why did you get that pit in your stomach? What exactly happened? Oh, you read that email from your coworker. Sometimes making sense of what created the change within your emotional temperature allows you to more effectively self-soothe. But that's the major energy on Thursday. I would just say make your self-care a priority. When it comes to the lunar phase that we're in, oftentimes we can feel more inclined to want to draw inward, especially with the moon in Cancer, wanting to be at home, right? Wanting to potentially limit access of the world to us, wanting to safeguard what is sacred. And I do want to let you know that early on Friday, we have that disruptive energy of Venus square Uranus. So you may feel that build. You could feel a little anxious. You could feel a little scattered. For some of you, you could feel anxious about a love relationship within your world. And again, it doesn't do us any good to try to assume the worst or to think, what if this happens? What if this happens? There's an ask to make the decision in this moment that's the most empowered and the most in alignment with self-love, and trust that you will cross that bridge when you get there. Or maybe that anxiety is even coming in around finances. There could have been something unexpected that comes in either Thursday or Friday around your romantic life, around your finances. Some of you could even hear from someone unexpected. You could run into someone unexpected. You could have an unexpected argument or development within your relationship. But again, make the most empowered decision in this moment, the most loving decision in this moment, and trust that in the next moment, you'll make the most empowered and loving decision as well. So on Friday, August 2nd, rise and shine, it's Venus square Uranus time. Venus will square off with Uranus at 6:27 a.m., which may have our mornings start off in rather a shocking way. There could be unexpected financial news, an unexpected expense, an unexpected boost in income. That's the nature of Uranus. It's neutral. It governs what is unpredictable. So it's hard to say whether that's going to be a nice surprise, like a check in the mail around, oh, I overpaid on that dental bill. Cool, they reimbursed me some. Or, oh, I got a parking ticket. There just could be something unexpected around finances, either within your individual reality or within the collective. There could be something unexpected around love, around relationships, around partnerships, connecting with someone unexpected, hearing from someone unexpected. Like I said, Mercury's getting ready to switch directions, and a lot of us are really thinking about the past. And there could be some notifications that come in, whether it's Friday or during Mercury retrograde when Mercury squares off with Uranus, that you're like, that is the the last person I thought I would hear from. Like, I was hoping it would be my favorite ex who might reach out this Mercury retrograde, not this person. Like, I never thought I would see this name flash on my phone ever. Like, Uranus could be those sort of surprises. And also, if you are in a relationship, you may find that your partner is craving space. And it's important not to take that too personally or be like, what's wrong with me, right? Why don't they want to spend time with me? It's important to honor, as human beings, we have autonomy, and allow people to have their own space, their own interests, and do what it is that charges up your life force energy. Like, really try with the energy of Leo. Sometimes we can really want that validation or want attention and feel ignored when it's not being offered, but take that as an invitation to give that attention to yourself. Again, this is a big week for self-love, and people, crushes, your partners could just be behaving a little funky. And try not to make it a story, okay? Try not to obsess or hyperfixate or try to figure it out. There could just be an energy around just wanting a little bit of space to do your own thing, to hang out with your own friends, to be in your own energy. And for some of you, this could come through around wanting to shake up your look. You're wanting to try something new. You're wanting to wear something unusual. I love Venus and Leo square Uranus because they typically are very innovative dressers, right? This could be a time in which you're trying a new funky makeup technique. You're trying something new with your hair. To thine own self be true. This is a big week to dress how you want to dress and wear your hair how you want to wear. And the energy of Uranus, it's the archetype of the genius, it's the archetype of the weirdo. Because again, those who are not on the same wavelength will not understand you, and they don't have to. The ones who get it. And what's most important is to dress in the ways that make you feel the most you, even if that's considered weird to other people. And you know, sometimes Uranus energy comes through around just having anxiety. You just feel restless. There could be things that just have thrown a wrench within your plans. There can be things that you're experiencing disruptions within. Someone that you love could be behaving differently, which sometimes can make us panic and feel out of control of our own world. And it's just really important to be present with yourself, really self-soothe, especially with the aspects that we are having on Friday. Sometimes there could be an energy around wanting validation or for someone else to tell us that we are okay. So, you know, sometimes Uranus energy, we're feeling more inclined to rebel, right? We could be like in the vibe check, wanting to break out of a mold, break out of a role that we have played for somebody else, and just be like, this does not feel good to me, or this does not feel true to me. Due to my love and care and sunshine that I have for you, it's made me have this role of being the healer, being the paper towel. I'm here when you need me. But I'm realizing with Venus and Leo that this doesn't feel good to me. I'm playing a role for you. I'm performing for you. And it doesn't feel good. It's not true to me. And so some of us could be disrupting a role. Maybe this is at work. Maybe this is someone within your interpersonal life. Maybe this is even something financially that shows up. But there's an energy around, I'm not going to play a role any longer. It's not true to me. And for me to make the decisions that are in alignment with feeling empowered and being loving to myself within the here and now, I am not in alignment with being your own personal paper towel any longer. And that's the disruption. And when it comes to the vibe check, I'm not saying that there's this moment this week around this huge confrontation around you've been taking advantage of my healing energy. It could just be showing up in a different way around this person reaches out and says, hey, can we talk? Like, I need to vent. I'm going through it. And typically you would drop everything and do that. And maybe the rebellion, maybe the disruption is not this time. Not this time. Maybe I won't reply because that's the energy that you've given me. And it's a disruption because this isn't my role. Right? This is not my role that we played within this dance that we've done together for years, right? It's that disruption from this fixed groove of relating. And even that is a rebellion. It's like, I'm not playing this role any longer. And a lot of times if you've been playing a role and people have been taking advantage of it, they can be like, what are you doing? You're always there for me. You always drop everything for me. And you always let me ghost you for weeks on end and then let me come back and dump all my stuff on you, right? But with Venus square Uranus, it's like, not this time. That doesn't feel like the most empowered and loving decision for me in this moment. So I'm going to disrupt that role. It's just that disruption, whether that's big or small. It's just knowing that you have the opportunity to change your life. I know a lot of times when we feel stuck in these patterns and they're just repeating within relationship to relationship, from job to job, you could just feel like my life is on a constant loop, right? Just same dynamic, different faces, or same dynamic, different bosses, or just same behaviors. I'm so sick of myself. But the Uranus energy can be this opportunity around, I can shake up a pattern. I can identify a pattern, I can shake it up. I can disrupt this fixed groove of relating. And you can change. That's important to know. Whether it's a loop that you and your partner are in, a financial loop that you've been stuck in, maybe even a loop around valuing yourself that you've been stuck in, you can disrupt it. And sometimes it's shocking, sometimes it's disrupting, whether for other people or even for yourself, but you can change. Every day is an opportunity to begin again or to make different decisions that put you more in alignment with showing up with empowerment and showing up loving yourself. And so Friday, we do have that shocking energy in the morning time, but then the Cancer moon goes on to trine Saturn in Pisces, which can be an energy around self-soothing or finding some anchorings, finding some stabilizing for our emotions. You know, it's a different sort of strong when you're feeling all the things or you're feeling anxious or you're feeling emotional, but you know you have to go into a meeting at this time, or you know that you need to film, or you know that you need to pick up your kids. You know, it's a different sort of strong. And it's not about suppressing your emotions. It's just with the energy of Cancer moon trining Saturn. It's doing what you can to regulate yourself within that moment, ground yourself, nurture yourself within that moment, but stay focused on your responsibilities, on your bag, right? If you've been in a similar situation like the vibe check, stay focused on investing in yourself, in prioritizing yourself. Do not prioritize people who are not prioritizing you, okay? And don't let somebody mess up your paper. Don't let somebody mess up your goals, okay? It's giving that energy of the Taylor Swift song, I Could Do It With a Broken Heart, right? Like that is a different sort of power when you're going through it and you're emotional, but you know that you have to play that arena tour if you're Taylor Swift, or you know that you need to lead that presentation, or you know that you need to pick up your kids. It's a different sort of strong to be able to persevere, to be able to keep going because we have no choice. One breath after the other, one step after the other. It will not always feel like it does today. And just keep on. And that's important because the Cancer moon squares off with Chiron at 3:54 p.m., which could be ouches, right? It's up and down. There's moments around, I could do it with a broken heart. I'm feeling good. I'm hitting my quota at work, or I'm still showing up for my workout routine, even though I was done dirty. And then there's moments where you're tempted to go back to this dynamic, even if you were underappreciated because it was familiar. And even if it was a tidbit of love or appreciation, it's better than nothing. And again, that love that you seek is within you, and it exists in so many other facets. And that's important to highlight. If you were going through some sort of heartache within your life, a family member you had to cut off, a friend that you lost, a breakup that you are moving through, it's important to attune to the love that does exist within your life. And sometimes you can feel so unloved when you're so fixed or single-minded on the source that you want it to come from, or even the sunshine that you're accustomed to, or the source that you're accustomed to. It's just so powerful when you just observe the love that does exist within your world, and to remember that, because it's so easy to get lost around, I need it to show up within this source. Sorry to get so weepy, but I feel like with the energy of Cancer moon sextile Uranus and Taurus, it's being open to nurture ourselves in new ways, right? Like maybe even if it was such a modicum of love and affection and attention that we were reliant upon, it, right? And it's self-soothing in new ways. It's not reaching for the immediate quick fix. It's not reaching for the immediate thing that will help you distract or take it away. It's reaching for something different. Rather than reaching out to this person, it's choosing to book out workout class. Like again, you always have the capacity to choose new responses and choose new responses in terms of how it is that you take care of yourself. So on Saturday, August 3rd, the Cancer moon did trine Neptune in Pisces. So your dreams could be quite interesting. You could be feeling more in touch with your intuition. The moon is then void from its trine to Neptune, which happens at 3:31 a.m. until it enters Leo, the sign of the new moon, tomorrow at 4:10 a.m. And keep in mind, day before a new moon, there's a focus around shedding and releasing, especially with the Leo moon going on to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. Some of you could just have a desire around wanting to get rid of a bunch of stuff. With Venus entering Virgo tomorrow, some of us might get the ick with somebody, right? But some of us get the ick with ourselves around, why do I have so much stuff? Like, I just need to get rid of this stuff. There's so much clutter. Like, I just need to shed. I need to let go. And that could show up with your stuff. Also, it could show up with your emotions. You could have really intense emotions. You could be feeling extremes quite intensely. You could be feeling fear, paranoia. You could be feeling more isolated. You could be experiencing paranoia, fear of the future, right? And it's important not to let the fear of the future keep you from, again, making the decisions within the now that are empowered and that are full of self-love, right? Because let's say within the vibe check, there's an energy around, you disrupt the role and you know that this likely means no longer having this person in your life because you're no longer playing the role that they seem to have cast you in the story of their life. And with the energy of Leo moon opposite Pluto, this could be this energy around, I'm going to be alone forever. I need to cling to this person, even if they are just using me as a paper towel, because what if there's nothing else out there for me? What if my life is over if I do not stay in connectivity with this particular person? And thoughts like that can make us feel quite out of control. We can feel powerless. But with the Leo moon sextiling Mars in Gemini, it's remembering that you are a powerful individual. And every day is an opportunity to begin again. And sometimes when we're in doom thinking, we can't help but project our fears and even just like scarcity into the future. And sometimes our doom thinking is not very logical. And with the energy of that evening with Leo moon sextile Mars and Gemini, you can feel like you're getting your spunk back. You're getting your fire back around, listen, I'm not going to be alone forever. And I guarantee that my soulmate would not hit me up every week to vent and dump on me for hours and then GTFO. Like, I just don't think. I just don't think that's how they would show up. And with the energy of Leo moon sextile Mars and Gemini, it's doing the things that remind you of that remind you who it is that you are. Because sometimes when we are so undervalued and so underappreciated in a certain situation, we could start to feel like we are not worthy or we are not valuable. Sometimes when we remove ourselves in those situations, we get our spunk back, we get our fire back, we get a little pep in our step, right? We remember who it is that we are, and we take actions from that space, not this role that requires us diminishing ourselves to what is expected. So that feels to be coming alive for your Saturday. On Sunday, August 4th, we have the Leo new moon exacting at 4:13 a.m. PDT. And a new moon is an opportunity for new beginnings. And that's why I was saying every single day is an opportunity to begin again. And the moon reminds us of this. It's like we can mess up one month and then we have a new moon the next month that presents us a new opportunity to begin again. And that's not saying we have to delay around, oh, well, I'll make more empowered and loving decisions next month. It's just saying forgive yourself for the past, forgive yourself for the times that you've undervalued yourself or have treated yourself any less than the king or queen that you are. And just know that with this Leo new moon, it's an optimal time around embodying your most empowered, most loving self now. Embodying it now, forgiving yourself for what has transpired and just choosing to begin again and choosing to view the world through the lens of possibility with the sextile to Mars and Jupiter. And that means being in alignment with things that are truly meant for you, that make you feel good, that make you feel confident, that enhance your radiance rather than deplete it. And knowing that, yes, sometimes self-love is saying yes to things that are in alignment and that are heartfelt yeses, but sometimes self-love is saying no to things that are not in alignment. Because when we have people who are treating us like paper towels, energetically, they are taking up residence within our lives. And again, that dynamic is probably the case for 0.00001% of Magic Monday listeners. There might be one of you, okay, who's going through that. But think of this in terms of dynamics within your life around a certain situation where you're not getting what it is that you want, but it's an energy around, well, it's better than nothing. Well, it's better than nothing. Well, it's better than nothing. When we have something within our life, it takes up energetic real estate. It takes up energetic residence. And if it is something where we are being breadcrumbed, or it's asking us to show up as a not authentic version of ourselves, or it's not in alignment with who it is that we truly are, even if it's a small amount of your time, it still takes up real estate within your mind, and most importantly, your energy. And you can't call in new until there's room for it, until there's space. You need space to create. And so even if you're like, well, this ex, we're not like dating, we're not doing anything, I only see them like every 2 weeks when they decide to pop on by, there's still space for my real soulmate to find me? Not really, because you're still energetically connected to the past. How is your soulmate going to find you? You have not cleared or tied up that loose end from the past. And that feels relevant because Sunday is the day that Mercury Retrograde begins from a Pacific point of view. It happens at 9:56 p.m. So for East Coast and further east, it will happen early Monday for you all. And Mercury Retrograde is the ask around, what loose ends do I need to tie from my past? Are there any energetic cords that are out there around, maybe this ex will come around, so I'm just gonna like keep them in my orbit, right? Or maybe this friend will start to treat me with more respect, so I'm just gonna keep them around because I don't want to have to go to parties by myself. Or this particular client isn't really in alignment with where I want to take my business, but it's better than nothing, so I'll keep them in the orbit. And again, I'm not saying you have to cut off everything and anything, but I'm just saying if there is something that is within your world and your heartfelt desire is something different, just know that energetically it's taking up space. And it's hard for the new things, the heartfelt yeses, to find us if we're still attached to the no's, or like kind of the lukewarms, or people who like us sometimes or value us sometimes. It does take up space. And with Mercury retrograde, you could be contemplating, what loose ends do I need to tie up in order to have more space to say yes to those full body yeses within this world that exists, right? Things that make you feel confident and empowered and full of self-love that exists for you, my love. And with the new moon sextile Mars in Jupiter, it's asking for the courage to embody that. It's asking for you to intentionally fuel that perspective around possibility, possibility, possibility. It's interesting because, you know, the sextile to Jupiter is about possibility. Mercury retrograde is around looking back into the past. I'm not saying look back into the past and get stuck there. It's just this energy around, are there any loose ends that I need to tie up? Is there any healing that I need to do in order for me to really call in the next chapter? And to allow the space for opportunity and to not settle, I feel like is the energy. Like, know your worth, know who it is that you are, do not settle, especially if you're being mistreated or you're being undervalued. Absolutely not. And if it helps you with this Mercury retrograde energy, think of the past times that you've done this, the times that you've cut someone off who was toxic and then you met someone who's so much more aligned, or you left a job and something so much better came in. Sometimes having those past proof of concepts, which again, Mercury and Virgo is looking for the facts, looking for the data. Sometimes having that past proof of concept can give you more courage within the present moment to have that same approach, right? That same courage. And think about how scary that was at the time, especially if you're viewing the world through the lens of scarcity around, I need to cling to this ex who likes me every other week because at least somebody's coming around, right? And giving me attention. Like, my love, in this wide, wonderful world, it's a Leo new moon sextile Jupiter. There's so much out there. And you're clinging to something that does not suit you because you're viewing the world in terms of scarcity. View it in terms of possibility. And to figure out where exactly is optimal for new beginnings, confidence, creativity within your life, you'll want to see where you have 12 degrees Leo located within your chart. That'll be a sector in life in which you truly have this blank slate, this fresh page. What do you want to create? And at 7:23 p.m. that evening, Venus will enter Virgo. And so with Venus entering territory she's not too happy to be in, sometimes when it comes to Venusian matters, it just gets a little uncomfy, okay? It's not that it's bad, it's just like, ooh. Like with Venus and Leo, we could have found we were spending a lot, okay? On Saturday, Venus was hovered at the anaretic degree, so you could have found that you were spending a lot of money or having urgency around wanting to spend all this money or make it rain. And with Venus and Virgo, it's like checking the bank account and being like, oh shoot, you know, I spent a lot of money. It's time to be on a budget or get a part-time job or something of that nature. And if Venus and Leo is the party, right, celebrating life, Venus and Virgo is the cleanup around, you know, I've had a fun summer so far, but oh my goodness, I haven't eaten a leafy green in months. I have not worked out. Like, there could just be an energy around, maybe with that Venus Leo energy, you're having fun and celebrating. And now with Venus and Virgo, it's like, okay, it's time to start preparing for the next semester for those who are in school, or it's time to start focusing on my health. Like, there's just an energy around after the party, we got to clean up, right? We got to take down the streamers. We got to box up the leftover cake. And that's the energy of Venus and Virgo. We could feel less inclined to just want to like have fun and luxuriate and indulge, because with Venus and Virgo, we're paying more attention to what we have to get done. And also when it comes to love, when it comes to Venus and Virgo, you know, I'm just going to say, some of us could get the ick. You could find that you're dating someone and you're looking at them and you're like, the way that they chew is just like a lot. Or even just when it comes to your partner, you could love them so much, but you're just like, babe, why did you leave your Gatorade out? Like, the fridge was right there, And again, in light of the vibe check, this was the energy around just like getting the ick around, ew, that is really gross behavior, because we don't see it when we're in it. But I'm sure you've had this. Look back at like past experiences that you've had. Has there been behavior that you've accepted that you look back and you're like, ew, that was gross. Like, what a turnoff. What a turnoff. Because sometimes when someone does withdraw,
their love or their affection or their attention, sometimes we almost take it as an invitation around wanting to earn it back, right? Especially if we're sourcing validation from it, just with the energy of Venus having been in Leo. And we can take it as an invitation around, I've got to love harder, I've got to love more. But with Venus and Virgo, it's like, that's icky. I don't want to have someone within my world who thinks that's appropriate. Like, ick. And so Venus and Virgo can be helpful in that regard. And some people who are dating might find that you're just kind of less interested in dating. Like with Venus and Virgo, love within your life could look like self-love around working out, self-love around attuning to your habits and cleaning and things of that nature. And if you are in a relationship or dating, like acts of service might be really hot right now. You might be like, babe, you did my laundry? Like that is sexy. Like you could just be more enticed around love that is practical and grounded and real, because that is love, right? That shows up in practical, grounded, and real ways. At 9:56 p.m., as I highlighted, Mercury Retrograde begins. So again, this is going to be a period from now until the 28th of the month where we are essentially highlighting anything that starts with the prefix re. Reworking, reviewing, recalibrating. And it's not that we need to freeze and pause life during Mercury Retrograde. It can be really great for looking at the creative graveyard and seeing what stories you have written and wanting to flesh those out. It could be a great time to get organized, right? It could be a great time to finally finish off projects. It could be a great time to reconnect, right? You know, be mindful when it comes to the toxic exes or toxic ex-friends or things of that nature, but it can be a great time to reconnect with past people that you've networked with, or just past people where it's like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. There could just be an energy around contemplating things from our past, but don't get stuck there, right? With the Leo new moon, your future needs you. So contemplate the past, how it's made you the person that you are with the wisdom that you have. But remember to continue to invest in that mindset of tuning into the possibilities of what is ahead of you. And again, aligning with the timeline that feels the most vibrant and alive. All of these Leo energies, right? What is truly for you won't make you feel like a paper towel that's being thrown in the trash. It won't make you feel less sparkly, less radiant. It'll feel you. You'll feel empowered. You'll be taking action from a place of true love, not just for others, but also for yourself. So align with that when it comes to this Leo new moon. And so my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, today I make the decision to love myself. This week all boils down to self-love. And I know it's so cliche and we talk about it so much. And I am of the belief that we are here to connect and to experience lovely relationships within this life. But it all does boil down to self-love and valuing yourself and seeing the worth in what it is that you have to offer and in the sunshine that you radiate out. And knowing that sometimes self-love is hard. It's not just like shopping sprees and getting an iced coffee and taking a bath and the things where it's like, I'm loving on myself. I mean, that's all well and good, certainly. But sometimes self-love is hard. It's loving yourself so much that you enact a tough boundary. Sometimes it's loving yourself so much that you withdraw from something that feels good but is not really in alignment with your highest and best good. Sometimes self-love looks like detaching from a habit that feels good in the short term but is not feeling good in the long term. Like sometimes it's hard to love yourself, but it's just making those decisions that are in alignment with how you want to treat yourself. And just knowing that every day presents us an opportunity to begin again. Maybe there are certain decisions that you made yesterday that you're not proud of, but today I make the decision to love myself today. I'm not going to fold. I'm not going to go back to something that is not good for me. I'm not going to accept less than my value. Today, I'm choosing to love myself. I'm going to pour that sunshine that might be easier for me to give to others. I'm going to pour that to myself. I'm going to look in the mirror and love who I see. And it has nothing to do with your aesthetic. It's the person that you are. It's your vibrancy. It's your soul. It's your life force energy. Loving that. Your relationship with yourself is the most important one that you will have within this lifetime. And it will weave into every aspect of your life, will be a mirror of your own relationship with yourself. And this is a week to really work on that. Love yourself. Align with your most empowered, your most loving version. So my loves, that is our week. If you made it to the end of this forecast, go ahead and drop below a heart emoji, your favorite heart emoji, your go-to, to just make that pledge around this week. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to make decisions that are in alignment with self-love, empowerment, healing. Make that commitment to yourself, and know that this Magic Monday cosmic community is cheering you on as you do. Sorry, my emotions were really up and down. when I was filming this week's Magic Monday, I do feel the day's energy as I talk about it, and sometimes spirit just brings up certain things from my own experiences to convey a particular message to you all. So it does tend to sometimes send me on a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, but thank you for being on the ride of my own emotional roller coaster as I moved through it. My loves, my Instagram handle is @HaleyComet_Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. I want to give another warm thank you to the sponsor of this week's Magic Monday, Magic Mind. Reminder that you can get 20% off when you go to the link within my drop down as well as within my pinned comment and use the code COMET. Until we meet again, my loves, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.